Hello and welcome to What the F Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Tuesday, December 13th, 2022. Welcome to day 693. Joe Biden signed into law a bipartisan bill codifying same-sex and interracial marriages. The landmark legislation replaces the Defense of Marriage Act, which defined marriage as between one man and one woman, with the Respect for Marriage Act, which prohibits states from denying the validity of out-of-state marriages based on sex, race, or ethnicity. The legislation, however, does not require states to issue marriage licenses for same-sex couples. Biden said, quote, "The road to this moment has been long, but those who believe in equality and justice, you never gave up." Biden added, quote, "We got it done. We're going to continue the work ahead, I promise you," end quote. Moving on, Mark Meadows discussed plans for overturning the 2020 election with at least 34 Republican members of Congress. The exchanges took place over text message, which were turned over to the January 6th committee. In total, Meadows received at least 364 messages from Republican members of Congress related to overturning the 2020 election. He sent at least 95 messages of his own. In one example, Ralph Norman texted Meadows 3 days before Biden was set to take office, urging him to have Trump declare martial law, saying, quote, "We are at a point of no return," end quote, and, quote, "Our last hope is invoking martial law. Please urge to President to do so," end quote. Meanwhile, special counsel Jack Smith subpoenaed election officials in Nevada, New Mexico, and Georgia for all communications involving Trump, his campaign, his lawyers, his aides, or his allies from June 1st, 2020 through January 20th, 2021. Smith subpoenaed Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger for his testimony before a grand jury on December 29th, or alternatively, Raffensperger will be allowed to turn over all of the subpoenaed records to the FBI. In a January 2nd phone call, Trump asked Raffensperger to find the votes needed to win Georgia. Smith also sent the subpoenas to the New Mexico Secretary of State's office, as well as the Clark County, Nevada Elections Division. Similar requests were previously sent to officials in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Arizona. Smith was appointed last month to oversee both the Justice Department's January 6th investigation and the Mar-a-Lago classified documents investigation. Meanwhile, the January 6th committee will hold its final public meeting on Monday and will vote on whether to refer any individuals to the DOJ for prosecution. Benny Thompson, the chair of the committee, said the committee will consider referrals covering 5 or 6 subject matter areas. The panel's full report will be released on December 21st. At the same time, the House Oversight Committee asked the National Archives to conduct a review of whether Trump retained any additional presidential records at his storage facility in Florida. At least 2 classified items were recently found at the storage unit. And finally, inflation grew less than expected in November, with the Consumer Price Index increasing 7.1% from a year ago, the lowest reading since the end of 2021. Inflation peaked at 9.1% in June. On a month-to-month basis, prices rose 0.1% in November, down from 0.4% in October. Inflation, however, remains well above the Federal Reserve's 2% target, despite the central bank raising interest rates from just above 0 earlier this year to about 4% currently. The Fed is expected to raise rates again by a half point tomorrow after a series of 4 3/4-point increases in a row. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditis.